Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mundane Matt, and yeah, we're going to be talking about Rachel Maddow and Donald Trump's taxes and the whole situation. Because I don't share the same opinion that a lot of other commenters out there and pundits out there have on this particular situation. And that might be because I think I see what Rachel was attempting to do. She just did it in not the best way. Okay, so it started off yesterday with two tweets from Rachel's account. One saying, breaking news, we got Trump's taxes. It's going to be on the air at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That kicked the internet off into some big-ass fucking frenzy. Then, of course, it was followed up a few minutes later by specifying and clarifying what they had, which was 2005 1040 form. That was it, his 2005 form, and that was all it was. Okay, but still it was enough to keep the internet, like, going. Rachel Maddow was trending. People were fucking losing their collective shit. Twitter was going insane talking about this. But what Rachel did wrong was take forever to get to the fucking point. And as a person who talks at great length for my job, I understand losing the point sometimes. But she also was very much trying to lay the groundwork for her own speculation based on her reporting of why this matters and why this is something people should pay attention to, as well as using the 18 minutes of lead-in time to talk about a seemingly unrelated issue, but at the core is very related to the constant discussions of Russia and Trump. All right, so if you were watching her broadcast and not just like the 2-minute little snippet that was working its way around, she spent a great deal of time talking about Trump, his connection to a Russian oligarch, whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce because I'm going to fuck it up, as well as Preet Bharara, the former state attorney for the Southern District of New York, the guy who refused to quit last week and who was forced. Right? Now, people out there have argued, well, those guys serve at the pleasure of the president, and Preet was told he was going to be fired, and that's just how things go, which is absolutely true, except for two things. One, yes, Obama did it, but Obama gave people 8 months, not 8 hours, which is what Jeff Sessions did when he called up to fire Preet. And also, Preet had been told back in December at a meeting with Trump at Trump Tower that he was going to be able to keep his job. So there was controversy involved with that. But what Rachel reported on, and this isn't just what she reported on last night, her main story from the night before, which I actually caught while waiting for last night's expose to hit YouTube, was talking about the connections between Trump and Deutsche Bank and everything else going on with all of that, and how Deutsche Bank was laundering money for Russia, and how Trump owes them, like he's indebted to them for like hundreds of millions of dollars, even going as far as to sue them to get out of a $40 million debt a couple years ago. Like, Trump is connected to this particular bank, and Preet Bharara was actually currently suing them. And going after them in court, as well as going after Fox. And a number of other things as well, high-profile cases that all kind of circle around people involved with Trump and Russia, so on and so forth. Now, all of that is pure speculation. None of that is something we know for a fact, but there are enough there to at least open up a discussion, which is what Rachel was intending to do. And it was a good play, to be fair. It was a very good play. She was going to use the hype that was created as a way to get people to pay attention to this particular situation. Unfortunately, like I said, she took forever to get to the fucking point, and people lost interest. People who don't like Rachel Maddow, don't like the way she speaks, don't like how she presents things, are going to tune the fuck out. And let's be perfectly fair, and I'm guilty of this too, 2.5 minutes is about what you got me for, right? Or else I'm going to fucking look on my phone, I'm going to go to a different tab, I'm going to browse around. I listen more than I absolutely watch, and most of us do as well, and so that's very much part of the situation. Is I think a lot of people are wanting her to get to the point because they just wanted the taxes. Okay. And then you get to the other part of this, which is the taxes, what they showed us, and what it means. So essentially it boils down to this. We don't know who provided these taxes to the investigative journalist anonymously. We don't know. He has speculated that it's possible Trump did it himself, which is entirely possible and plausible. Look up John Barron. That's back when Trump was John Barron and other names as well, leaking information about himself to People magazine as a way to keep himself relevant and in the trades. He's done this. He's gone on record as doing this, right? So we know that he's been known to leak that information. And the other reason why that particular aspect of it might be truthful is because before Rachel went to air, the White House responded in an attempt to cut it off by saying, oh yes, this document is legit. He paid $38 million in taxes in 2005, but this is illegally published, blah, blah, blah. It's not. It was protected by the First Amendment to publish it. It was a leaked document provided to a member of the press. There is a Supreme Court ruling from back in the 70s that I do believe covers that. And also many lawyers have chimed in and said, no, Rachel Maddow and the other investigative journalists, they're fine because they're not the one who leaked the document. Now, it is entirely possible Trump did leak it. I don't know. And so I can't speculate whether he did or didn't. All I can say is that, yes, he has before done that sort of thing. But another person on MSNBC today speculated that it's entirely possible that it was a person involved with a deal Trump did in 2005, where he was suing an author who had written a book that speculated that Donald Trump maybe wasn't a billionaire, right? And when he sued him and when he went to court over that, Trump would have to produce his tax returns as a way of showcasing how much money he had. And it's entirely possible that that form ended up being leaked out from that event or from a similar event where Trump wanted to apply for a loan or apply for other things that would require him to produce tax returns. And so that is, again, another avenue, a possibility that could have happened from this. And again, we don't know. But what the taxes told us, that 1040 form told us, is that Trump wrote off $108 million in 2005 from property loss. Okay, but he still paid $36 million in federal taxes and then another $2 million on top of that for like self-employment fees, so on and so forth. Now, the reason why he paid $38 million, which here, just to quickly specify, that is a good thing that we know that information, because people have said, especially Bernie Sanders did come out and say that Trump had, in fact, not paid federal taxes in like 18 years, which we now know is a fallacy, and Bernie should correct himself on that and apologize for not being factually accurate. That should be the appropriate response. But we know that it was that he paid that much money. But the thing is, the reason why he paid that much money is again being called into question. Because under current tax law, or at least kind of general, he would have only had to pay $5 million to taxes based on the loss that he wrote off from property values, right? Well, there's the alternative minimum tax, which essentially works as a way, if you write off too much, they kind of get you on that to allow you to not just write off complete depreciation or loss or anything else, and you still have to pay money into it. And that is where the alternative minimum tax made him pay out the $36 million. So he had to pay $31 more million than he feels he probably should have. Now, as a person who is self-employed in a state with a 9% income tax that, oh dear God, needed preparation H after filing this year, I understand. You know, people's bitching about the alternative minimum tax. And the amount of money Trump spent is more than most people would have ever earned in their fucking lifetime. So that's just for 1 year. So yes, clearly Trump has money. So we know that. We know he's paid it. That's good. That's good. That is information that should have been provided in the first place. If anything, just through the precedent that the presidents supply their taxes. They supply that information. So we the people know that if we're going to elect somebody, then they do not have aid coming in through a foreign entity, that they're not being funded by another country or another governmental body or something of nefarious purposes, right? And like Hillary Clinton had the Clinton Foundation, and we know that they were getting tons of money from the Middle East, especially Saudi Arabia. We know that they were getting that kind of money, so we know that there were problems with that. I had huge issues with that, and I feel like Trump showing us where his money comes from, if it's through legit above the board fucking, areas, then cool, man. That's even more reason to be on board with you being the president. But when you kind of hide it and you use the audit defense, that's not a defense. Even the IRS has said, like, you can show the audit letter that you're being audited to back this thing up, and he didn't do that. So again, it's one of those things where it's like it feels like it's more deflecting rather than explaining. So you've got that part of it. But the other side of it too, and I feel like this is an important thing to keep in mind, is that Trump's tax plan that he wants to do, his proposal would do away with the alternative minimum tax. All right. And we know that other people in the 1% probably pay out a fair amount because of that alternative minimum tax, and they themselves want that gone. And Trump is in the position to basically make that happen. And that, I think, is another important factor of this thing. We know, based on Trump care, based on the how many people are going to lose health care if that goes through, and how many people are going to get insane fucking tax benefits if they make like over $500,000 a year. We know that there is a lot that's going to be going on with that, that's going to be giving tax breaks to the very wealthy and going to be fucking over lots of people. And that, in essence, is what I feel is the important part coming out of this particular release. There's a lot tied to it. The way Rachel Maddow did it was not right. She took too long to get to the point. She expected people to have an understanding or a previous knowledge of her past reporting from the night before. She didn't play to a new audience that maybe doesn't like her or isn't familiar with her reporting style, and she dropped the ball. And as a result, yes, she needs to be mocked for it because that was a fuck up. But what she was attempting to do, I personally believe, was very much done in the way that is for the benefit of the American public, to get a discussion going about Preet Bharara, about his looking into and filing lawsuits against the Deutsche Bank and how they've money laundered from Russia and how they're tied to Trump, as well as Fox and everything else. These are things that he was working on that he is no longer going to work on. And his replacement, if I am to believe what I read, is going to basically be the attorney for Roger Ailes of Fox. So anything involving the attorney of the Southern District of New York going after Fox News for unethical practices is going to go out the fucking window. And so these are things that are happening. And what I would love to see is, I would love to see Trump come out and effectively say, here are my taxes, this is transparency, this is everything, this is who I am, and then allow us as a people to look at it and decide. Because the more he tries to hide it, the more it feels like he has something to hide. And that is why people are then looking at it more like it's taboo. They're going to treat it like it's the thing, like, well, no, you're telling me I can't have it, so I want it more. And they're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And honestly, the idea that this is not going to be the last time that something like this leaks, because keep in mind, Trump, every time he applies for a loan or for anything else, he has to present his taxes. And so that information is floating out there to an extent, and I'm sure we're going to see more as time goes on. Trump's best play right now is to just release it, okay? The IRS says it's cool, because if he's under audit, they say it's all right. So if the IRS says it's okay, he's got no reason to hide it. And he's got every reason to show it, because he wants us to trust him. He wants the fake news to leave him alone. He wants them to be accurate in their reporting, but he's not giving them what they need in order to do that. And they're looking things up, and they're connecting the dots, and the evidence isn't looking as good as it could. And so this is where Trump needs to step up and just, bam, drop that info, so then he can just blast them all out of the water and go, look, this is now a dead issue, move the fuck on. Which is what I feel should happen, but you may feel differently. And I do want to know your guys' thoughts on this. This video is not meant to alienate anyone. I'm just saying this is based on what I've read and what I've seen and what I've put together, that I do feel that Maddow had a point. She just kind of lost it in her own rhetoric. And that's the unfortunate thing. And now she's being mocked as a result of it. But I do want to know your guys' thoughts. Do you think that we learned anything? Do you think it was all a waste of time? Was it overhyped? Yada, so on and so forth. Let me know in the comments below. My name is, of course, Mundane Matt. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a fantastic day. Like, comment, and subscribe. And peace out.